Hello again, BookTube. Today is Tuesday, so that means Tag Tuesday, and this tag that I'm doing today is the Travel the World book tag. It was originally created by Cliff at CliffsDarkGems. I will try to remember to leave a link to it in the description. And I was tagged into doing this by Steve Donahue, this corner of BookTube's resident horse jockey. And so uh, let's see what we have here. Uh, so the first question is it's the UK and Republic of Ireland. Or I guess it would be prompt number one. UK and Republic of Ireland, known for history, culture, arts, and literature. Talk about an older book slash classic that you have read and loved. Uh, Luckily, I'm in that part of my reading life where I read mainly classic books. I'm in sort of that pretentious part of my reading life. I've loved a lot of the classics, but off the top of my head, uh, or one that I'll talk about today is an oldie but a goodie, War and Peace by Tolstoy. This is the Anthony Briggs translation, the big, thick Penguin Classic Deluxe edition with the deckled edges and the French flaps. For the record, I hate deckled edges, but yeah, but this is. I think this needs no introduction. It's set during the Napoleonic Wars. Napoleon has invaded, is going to invade Russia, and the story follows these several aristocratic families and the different characters. There's so many characters in this book, and I mean it's just a terrific novel. I mean I'm not breaking any new ground here saying that War and Peace is amazing, but do not let the size of this thing intimidate you. You just find the right translation for you, and yeah, it's really great. It's about 1,000 pages, but once you get to the end, you won't want it to stop. It's about anything and everything, and it has the horrors of war, post traumatic stress, love, heartbreak, tenderness, everything that you would want in a novel is in this. So that's my answer for this prompt: War and Peace. And then number two is Australia, a beautiful country with wildlife found nowhere else on Earth. Talk about a book that has an original and unique premise. I'm a little confused by this prompt because, I mean, aren't all books supposed to have an original and unique premise? I mean, if they didn't, then we wouldn't want to read them. They wouldn't be any good. So I don't really have an answer for that one. So we'll just move on. Number three is New Zealand, a land of breathtaking beauty. Talk about a book, fiction or nonfiction, where the setting, real or imagined, is so stunning that you want to live there. And again, I really don't have an answer for this one. A lot of the books, the majority of the books that I read, I would not want to live in. I would not want to live in those books. I mean, even reading about War and Peace, living in early 19th century Russia is not a place I would want to live. And the closest thing that I can think of that I would maybe want to live in, but even then I still wouldn't want to, would be Rivendell and Lord of the Rings. But even then, I mean, there's no Wi-Fi there. There's no air conditioning. I am a pampered hothouse flower, and I need air conditioning in order to survive. So I don't have an answer for that one. So we'll move on. Number four is France, Paris, City of Love. Talk about a book that you enjoyed where a love story is either central to the plot or just present in the story. This does not have to be a romance or erotica novel. Thank God for that. And for this one, again, I will go with another Russian novel. This is The Master and Margarita by Bulgakov, another Penguin Classic Deluxe Edition. I just love this cover, uh, and it's one of those wraparound. This is the Pivier and Volokhonsky translation, and it's set during like the height of Stalin's Red Terror in the Soviet Union, and it's basically about one half of the story is about the devil coming to Moscow and with his band of merry pranksters and wreaking havoc across the entire city. But the other half of it is about the characters, Master and Margarita. And the Master is heavily based on Bulgakov himself. And so it's like the love story between those two is great. So, and it's not a very long book. I always think that if anyone were to ask me for a way to get into the classic novels, what book should they start with, I would probably suggest this one. I think it's a very inviting book, and there's really no dry parts in it at all, and it's a very it's a very inviting book. So, and crazy, and sad. So everything you would want for a classic novel. So that's my answer for that. And so then we'll go to number 5, Germany, Oktoberfest, the world's largest beer festival. Name and talk about a book where wild celebrations and crazy parties are part of the storyline. And I couldn't really think of a book that fits this prompt exactly, but the closest one that I can think of is a little outside the box, perhaps, and it is The Informer by Liam O'Flaherty. This is set right in the aftermath of the Irish Civil War, and this came out in 1925, and it's about sort of lowly knuckle dragger named Jippo Nolan, who rats out his friend in order to get a cheap amount of money in order to escape to America, and he's really just a scumbag. This guy Jippo, and instead of going to America with the money like he said he was going to, he instead decides to waste all of that money in one night, and so part of it is that story, and it's also about the IRA chasing him, trying to find him and kill him. And what he decides to do with that money is he decides to go to, since this is a family show, I will call it a house of ill repute, and he spends all of his money at this place on all the things that you would spend money on in a place like that. And it's a very moody and dark and just in a weird book too. Like it's hard to explain it, but that would be my, as far as celebrations and crazy parties. The majority of this book, a large chunk of it takes place in this house of ill repute. So that will be my answer for that. And then we do number 6, which is Mexico, tourism and beaches. Name and talk about a book set on the coast or an island. And I don't have the book with me right now, but I would go with Shutter Island by Dennis Lehane. It was made into a really famous movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and Mark Ruffalo, and it's about these two detectives who go to this place called Shutter Island, which has a mental asylum, and there is a woman that goes missing on the island, and the two detectives have to figure out where this woman went, try to find her. And if you don't know anything about the book, which I'm sure you know at least something about it, there is a very famous twist toward the end of it, and it is shocking, and for anyone that reads the book, I think it's something that, looking back on it, it's probably only something that would happen in a novel, But when I read it a few years ago for the first time, I figured out the twist about halfway through the book, and as soon as I figured out that twist, I thought, "Holy crap!" And it's a really good sort of mystery thriller book. It's really dark and really moody, like most of Dennis Lehane's novels are. Uh, when you grow up in South Boston, that tends to bleed into your work. So that's my answer for that. The number 7 is Italy cuisine, fine food and wine. Talk about a book, fiction or nonfiction, where food and or drink is central to the plot. And for this one, again, I don't read cookbooks or anything like that, but another outside of the box pick. I'm going to go with Appointment in Samara by John O'Hara. This is set in 1930, and it's all about this guy named Julian English who basically decides on a whim at a cocktail party to destroy his life, again, for no particular reason. And this book is best described as being soaked in alcohol, and there is not a scene in this book, at least with Julian, where he does not have a glass of alcohol in his hand. And so that's a large reason of why he decides to destroy himself. He just drinks like a fish in this. It's one of those where, like, the whole time you're reading, you're thinking, well, why are you doing this? You have everything. Why are you destroying yourself? And but you can't look away from it. And so, yeah, that's so. As far as food or drink central to the plot, alcohol, Appointment in Samara. And then number 8, Austria, alpine landscapes, ski and snowboard. Talk about a book where a sport or contest, real or imagined, is a central focus of the story. Again, I don't have a copy of it on me right now, but for this I would go with a book by Christopher McDougall. It's called Born to Run, and it was Christopher McDougall. He's like a sports journalist, and he wrote this book it's about the Tarahumara tribe in northern Mexico, and he basically spent a large amount of time living with this isolated tribe where they are known for running ultra marathon distances every day. That's how they live, and so running is the central focus of the story, and it's a really interesting book. Even if you don't care anything about running or distance running in general, I think you would like this. The book is not particularly well written. The whole thing reads like it reads like a 300-page sports the ESPN journal article, but it's really interesting. And he talks about half of the book is about him finding this tribe and finding these people and going and living with them. And he was inspired to do it because he had a bunch of sports injuries from running, stress fractures in his feet, and he wanted to and he learned about this tribe, and he thought, well, how are these people who run ultra marathon distances, 40, 50 miles every single day, and run in what you would probably call like Jesus sandals, and those little shoes wrapped in twine, and running in the mountains, the rocky terrains, and how are these people not getting stress fractures every day? So half of it is about that, and the other half is his sort of pseudoscientific hypothesizing for why that's the case. He talks about he promotes the I forget what it's called, but basically the theory that humans were evolved to run long distances, and that's how they have survived all this time, and humans are meant to run 50, 60 miles a day. You can sort of disperse with that, and he also talks about how part of the reason why there's so many more running injuries nowadays is the advancement of running shoes and how there's too much cushion in them. Do with that information what you want, but the part where he lives with the tribe and just living with running with them and living the way that they do is really interesting. So I would I would highly recommend you read that if you can find a copy of it. Then number 9 is South Africa, the Rainbow Nation. I don't know why. Talk about a book from a diverse author you have enjoyed. Race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, anything. I will go with race, and this is technically a play, but I would consider it a book. This is The Recognition of Shakuntala by Kalidasa. It was sort of an ancient Indian play. This is the Oxford University Press edition. This is actually, I took a theater history class in my first year of undergrad, and this is one of the plays that we had to read. And it's about King Dusyanta and sort of his falling in love with this hermitage girl Shakuntala. I'm probably butchering all of these names. These are all Indian names, and they're separated by a curse. And the whole story is about them coming back together. And this is it's really good. It's a very almost dreamscape type of story, and it's like part dialogue and also part poetry. It really fascinating story to read, or a play. And if you get a chance to see it in person, I would imagine, like, I've only read this and I can only imagine what this is like seeing it performed. And so Shakuntala. And the number 10 is the bonus prompt. Where do you live, country or state? I am from southeastern Ohio. I live here in Dayton for grad school, but I'm from southeastern Ohio, and if you look at a map of Ohio, I'm from that little sliver that is between Kentucky and West Virginia, right in the heart of Appalachia. And this says, choose and talk about a book, fiction or nonfiction, that reflects the culture, history, and anything of your home. And so, being from Appalachia, I will of course talk about Hillbilly Elegy. No, not really. I'll talk about a better book than that. It's a book called The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. I had to read it in my sophomore year, I think my sophomore year of high school. And it's a memoir about a girl who lived a part of her life in West Virginia in just abject poverty, and her parents were addicted to drugs. And if you have been to any part of southeastern Ohio or Appalachia in general, then you will know that it is polluted with drugs. The opioid epidemic is strong, especially in the area where I'm from. I'm right along the Ohio River, there in Portsmouth, and like growing up, I saw that every day. Luckily, I never had to deal with it myself, but you see it all the time. And so the Glass Castle is about, this woman writes about growing up with parents who are addicted to drugs, and it is a depressing book, but it's one I think that everybody should read, and I was really glad that my English teacher had us read it. And so that's the best guess. It's a little pessimistic for where I'm from, that we have other stuff other than drugs, but that's our chief export. And if you want sort of an idea of the culture of us, then I would suggest either the movie Sling Blade, the movie that Billy Bob Thornton did, or if you want to watch the redneck comedy tour with Bill Engvall, Larry the Cable Guy, Ron White, Jeff Foxworthy. That's a good that gives you a good idea of the culture of where I'm from, if you can't tell from my accent. But yeah, that is the Travel the World tag. I will try to remember to leave a link to the original video that CliffsDarkGems did, and the one that Steve Donahue did where he tagged me. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.